Hi guys, Scott Woodward with you to cover Super Saturday. We have 3 wonderful games on the weekend. Raiders vs Storm, Panthers vs Bulldogs, and the Cowboys vs the Titans. There are 3 games on Saturday, and I like the whole 3 games. So look, let's get into them. First game we have Raiders vs the Storm, and I really like the Storm in this game. They have an outstanding record against Canberra, and particularly have a wonderful record away playing in Canberra. Let's look at that record at Canberra Stadium. They've played 14 times. Melbourne have won 9 of the 14 games. Only 5 wins to Canberra. But Canberra certainly get a very good chance to try and level that up just a little bit with the inclusion of Josh Dugan and Terry Campese, the 2 big guns back in the side for the Canberra Raiders. And while they have some positional changes from previous seasons, they still look to have a very good side and a very dangerous side, the Canberra Raiders. Having said that, I don't think the structure will change that much, and I don't think the way they play the game very much. They tend to struggle for 80 minutes, where the Storm will be a dead set 80-minute team, and they won't be doing silly things, giving penalties away and missing dumb tackles, and that's the edge that the Storm will have over the Raiders. So we're going to talk about the teams a little bit. Obviously, Josh Dugan just signed an extension for 2 more years for the Canberra Raiders, a big coup for them. He's the best fullback that they've had there for 15 or 20 years, and could very well end up being the best fullback they've ever had. He is a super talent, Josh Dugan. Love to see him go through the entire season without any injuries and play for New South Wales in the whole 3 games. That will be a massive boost for New South Wales. Blake Ferguson, he'll either win you the game or lose you the game. He's a little bit like some of the players that we have in NRL. They've got wonderful talent, but they can also do some silly things. Blake Ferguson is one of those guys. Jared Croker has held down the right centre position. Look, I think he's a wonderful little player and a good goal kicker. The emphasis is being on little. While he's not that little, he actually plays little. He's not a really good defender, and a big centre doesn't have any problems with Jared Croker. So I have a little concern with him in defence, just as I have with Sean Berrigan, who has won the other second centre position. So the Raiders are filling 2 smallish type centres, if you like. Don't really like that. The speedy Reece Robertson is the other winger. He's certainly no world beater, but he has genuine speed. Now let's get to the big guns. Terry Campese back, hardly played any football at all for the last 12 months, and he can't be 100%, but really looking forward to his combination with Josh Dugan. That will be Terry Campese will be the go-to man, and when he's got the ball, he'll be looking to see where Josh Dugan is. That looks to be a formidable combination, and very interesting to see how the Storm will try and break that up. Josh McCrone has held down the halfback position, and so he should. He had a wonderful season last year in a beaten side. He went very, very well. He had a bit of competition for the spot, but he just was very consistent every week. And while he's not your ideal type organising halfback, I like what he does, and I think he will complement what Terry Campese does. Look, the 2 props, David Chillington and Leroy Lars, both internationals. You'd expect that they would be there. Here's a big weakness for the Raiders, Travis Waddell. I think he's only just a first-grade player, and that's one of the big problems that the Raiders have. They don't have a lot of depth in the hooking position, and it's such a key position in the NRL these days. One of the most promising forwards that the Raiders have got, Josh Papali. We signalled him this time last year before they played a game that he had a big future, and he came on during the season and absolutely brained them. What a massive talent he is, and no doubt he will go on and play a lot of games for New Zealand. Josh Papali has won that vital second row position. Bronson Harrison is the other second row from Sean Fenson, the tackling machine Sean Fenson. On the reserve bench we have Glenn Buttress, the backup hooker, also just a borderline first grader. Joel Thompson surprisingly has lost his centre position, and I'm assuming now he'll come on and play in the second row. Dane Tills, the backup prop with Brett White and Trevor Furling, looks like he will drop off the bench. Now with the Storm, it's pretty well unchanged. The 3 big guns are all back. Billy Slater, certainly in the top 2 players in the world. There's an enormous amount of speed in the back line. Matt Duffy, one of the wings, Dane Nielsen and Justin O'Neill are the 2 centres. That's an incredibly athletic back line. Very, very nippy, these guys. The experienced Anthony Quinn will be there on the wing, and he always puts in a good performance. You know what you get from Anthony Quinn is what you see. A guy who I have a massive rap on, the Pommy Gareth Widdop. I'm expecting a big season from him, and I can talk about him in the same breath as his halfback partner Cooper Cronk. I don't think he's overshadowed by him, and by the end of the year I think we'll be saying that beyond any doubt. I think he's a very lucky guy to learn the ropes from Cooper, and Cooper will play halfback for Queensland this year. One of the promising forwards for the Storm, and they really do need him to be promising, is Jesse Bromwich. He'll come on and be the starting prop from Storm. I know they think the world of him, and this is his big year to put his hand up and say, I have arrived on the scene now. Cameron Smith, one of the best players in the world, will be the hooker, and the other journeyman, Brian Norrie, will be the other starting prop from the international. Sikamanu, one of the back rowers, and welcome back Ryan Hoffman, the running back rower, who will take care of that left side down there with Anthony Quinn. The journeyman Todd Lowry will lock the scrum. He'll have a high work rate, but he won't cause any problems for the opposition. It's not a bad bench for the Storm. They've got Ryan Hinchcliffe, who always looks dangerous when he comes on. I'm assuming he'll come on and play lock. Kevin Proctor, who looks to be just getting better and better, and I think he'll have a good year. Siasasi Vave will be one of the forwards off the bench, along with Michael Greenfield. So it drops off a little bit, but to have Kevin Proctor and Hinchcliffe on the bench is a nice thing. But obviously the Storm are going to rely very, very heavily on Slater, Gareth Powell, Cooper Cronk and Cameron Smith to get them home in this game, and they're two outstanding back rowers, Sika Manu and Ryan Hoffman. But the real edge that they've got is their coach. Their coach is probably the top two coaches in the NRL. I don't think there's anything between him and Wayne Bennett. If I had him on an auction, give me Craig Bellamy. Bellamy, we'll call him Bellyache any day of your like. I think he's just a wonderful coach. He doesn't leave a stone unturned. His players are just wonderfully drilled, and they don't make many errors. They don't give any silly penalties away. And once they hit the lead, they generally get home. And where the Raiders, you don't know where they are. They can go hot, they can go cold. They don't have structure in their attack. They don't have structure in their defence, and they're terrible in defending their line. Unlike the Storm, who do all those things very, very well. So look, at the prices on offer, I could only be on the Melbourne Storm. They've got out to quite good odds now. Because there's been a little bit of support for the Raiders, and I'm finding them to be quite attractive in the market. We're used to taking $1.40, $1.45 about the Storm, and it's only because it's round one and both Josh Dugan and Terry Campese are back on deck that people have become Raiders mad. So I'm going to stick with the tried and tested. I know the Storm go well in Canberra, and I know they go well against the Raiders, and I don't see any reason to move away from them. I think they've selected a very, very good side, and in fact I expect the Storm to go through undefeated over the next 4 weeks and to be leading the competition at the end of the month. Okay, the next Saturday game we have is the Panthers and the Bulldogs. I find this game reasonably unattractive. The last 10 times these two teams have played, Penrith have won 7 of the games. Head-to-head at Centrebet Stadium, where they'll be playing the games, the last 40 times they've played, there's not much between it. Canterbury 21, Penrith 18. And look, there probably won't be a lot between these two teams. Both these two teams probably haven't got their best side in, but the Bulldogs arguably have got a better forward pack, and the Panthers have got a better back line. That's really how it is. It's going to depend on how the game is going to be played. I was glad to see Lachlan Coote won the fullback position for the Panthers, and while I have a fantastic opinion of Michael Gordon, I just think Michael Coote, he matches up very well with the halfback Luke Walsh, and they're outstanding with one kicking the bombs, and Lachlan Coote is as good as any player in the competition when he's running and he takes the ball in the air. He's just outstanding at it, and you need that from your fullback. So he's one of the most promising fullbacks in the competition, Lachlan Coote. David Simmons on the wing, I think he's a borderline first grader. Michael Jennings, outstanding in the centres. Brad Tye, just a borderline first grader. Michael Gordon, absolute superstar. He's that good, and certainly based on his junior record, I would have been testing him at 5'8". It's such a crucial position, and I would try and get him with his hands on the ball as often as possible. And he's big and strong, and he can bust a tackle, and he's a flying machine, and he can read a game well. I definitely would have been trying him at 5'8" in place of Travis Burns, who doesn't read a game well and is just really a very, very good defender. To me, I want more from my 5'8" than just that. Travis Burns would not be my 5'8". Luke Walsh, look, he's a good organiser. He's not a world beater. He's a good organiser. He's got a wonderful tactical kicking game, and really, that's all you want from your halfback. He's not one of my top halfbacks, but I can't knock him with the skills that he's got. And I think with some of the good players he's got around him, like Lachlan Coote and Michael Jennings, I think he can win a lot of games for the Panthers if they play smart. Up front, they haven't got too many problems there with Sam McKendry and Tim Grant as their two big props, but they have got a big problem with their prop rotation. It falls down pretty heavily. They will be wanting to get big minutes out of those two guys. It'll fall down big time there. Kevin Kingston is the hooker. He's quite a good hooker. Nothing sensational, but he goes okay. By far and away their best player is their captain, Luke Lewis, certainly one of the best forwards in the world, and heaven help this Panthers team if he's not on the field. Cameron Sorreldo, one of the ins from the Knights, comes on as the second row. He goes okay. Nathan Smith locks the scrum. He's a very good defender, no world beater. Here's the problem with the Panthers, their bench. They've got a lot of journeymen here. Dane Weston, Chris Ahmed, Clint Newton, Danny Galea. They sort of go, that is a lot of journeymen on your bench. They are not going to make an impact when they come on. They will be just plugging holes. One of the guys who's been named Blake Austin, I think, is one of the promising young guns for the Panthers, and very good to see that he's made it into the first round game. I think he's very promising, and let me tell you, they haven't got too many promising forwards at the moment. A lot of work to be done in that club. The Bulldogs, some of the selections surprised me a little bit, but you know, we have to go with the new coach, and he knows them better than what we do. Ben Barber had a wonderful year last year. He's certainly suspect under the bomb, but he was the equal leading try scorer and made more tackle busts than any other player in the NRL. So that's just a massive rap to give a player. Ben Barber as the fullback. The reliable Steve Turner was always going to be one of the coach's favourites. He plays like Des Hasler likes his players to play. Very reliable. You know what you're going to get from Steve Turner. You never have to worry. Josh Morris is one of the centres, and I think he's top class, and that's a big in for the Bulldogs. And I have a massive rap on Jonathan Wright, who has come in and won the vacant right centre position. I think he's highly promising and could go on and be anything Jonathan Wright. I really like what they've got in the centres there, Josh Morris and Jonathan Wright. Bryson Goodwin will be on the other wing, and I assume that he will probably be the goal kicker. Josh Reynolds, surprisingly, has won the 5'8" position. He wouldn't have been my first pick, but I'm going to go with the coach, and looking forward to see how he combines with Trent Hodgkinson, who they really need to stand up this year under his old coach. He's had some injury problems. I'm told that he's had a very good off-season, and they're looking forward to a big year from Trent, and they really do need it. Look, there's an injury cloud over the selected prop, Aidan Tolman, and if he doesn't make it, I'm assuming Martin Taupau will replace him, but maybe James Graham will come in and start now in place of Aidan Tolman. It's like for like, although James Graham is a significantly better player than Aidan Tolman. So that's not a monumental problem for the Bulldogs if Tolman is out, but he's certainly under grave doubt from my mail. Sam Cassiano is the other starting prop who's come up from the Toyota Cup, and he's got a wonderful future. Sam Cassiano, the biggest problem that he's got is after about 15 minutes he's completely gone, and he will struggle to play big minutes, Sam Cassiano, but obviously in the years to come that will build up. But as we're talking right now, he's a bit of a problem for the Bulldogs. After 10 or 15 he will be puffing in the big ones. The captain, Michael Ennis, a little bit underdone, but he's such a fitness freak. I'm sure he'll be fine for 80 minutes, and he will be the hooker. Frank Pritchard, outstanding season last year, will get the left second row position, and he's one of the big guns for the Bulldogs. When he gets the ball, things happen. What a wonderful player he is. Big surprise for me to see Dean Hallertode get the right second row position. I certainly wouldn't have had him in that role. He's a good runner of the ball, but he doesn't scare anybody, and he's not a big guy. I certainly would have had him off the bench. David Stagg's not going to worry anybody either. He's just a tackling machine. And yes, look, I know you need tackling machines in your team, but yeah, I think David Stagg can probably count himself lucky that he's been selected in that side. So too can as Dean Hallertau. So I have a big concern about those two selections. James Graham, I'm not sure when he will come on. I think he's clearly one of the best props in the world, and I think after a couple of months we'll clearly see that. He does have to make it at NRL level, and it'll be significantly faster to what he's used to, but I think the way he plays the game, no nonsense, tough. I'd like to see him improve his ball skills a little bit, but he'll be wonderful for the Bulldogs, James Graham. Greg Eastwood, look, he for a big guy who looks unfit, he's deceptively fast, and he's got all the skills in the world. Look, I don't know why he can't lose weight. I know he's got his trainers scratching their heads while they can't take the weight off them. I think they want to put a padlock on his fridge. I think they think he has about 10 or 15 Mars bars in his fridge. But Greg Eastwood is a wonderful talent, and if they can get the best out of him, it'll take the Bulldogs a long way to winning this competition. Corey Payne was arguably the best back for the Bulldogs last year. Big surprise to me. He went to a new level, and he's on the bench. And the other guy that's named on the bench, Joel Romolo, who I have a high opinion of, and I thought might have been a chance for that number 6 spot for the Bulldogs. So look, there's not a lot between these two teams. I think just because of better depth in the forwards, I think the Bulldogs can get away with this game, and that's probably what we will be doing. But at the moment, I just want to have a little look, and we'll decide what will be the best avenue for us to go in that game. Look, in the last game, it's been ripped apart a little bit, the Cowboys versus the Titans. The Cowboys have lost their international centre, Brent Tate, who also takes a lot of intelligence out of the side, which is a big thing when you've got so many young kids in your side now. But from what I've been told, there's a lot of problems at the Titans. They're very unsettled with a lot of the ins that they've had, and they've also got their share of injuries as well. And maybe the Cowboys have got them at a good time. If Brent Tate is out, and we're not going to know until an hour before the game, we're assuming that Winterstein will come in and take that position. That's where he trialled when Tate went off in the trials, and we're assuming Faya Loa will come onto the bench as the other guy. The other big surprise is Robert Louis has also been training this week, and he's an outside chance to come in. Now, he's a real talent, and he changes the structure of the team because he can organise and he can take a lot of pressure off Jonathan Thurston. So if he comes on and plays, whether he plays off the bench or wherever he starts, that's going to be a big plus for the Cowboys as far as I'm concerned, because he will take care of the right side, and Thurston could obviously come to the right side anytime he likes, but he will focus more on the left-hand side. But more importantly, it makes them twice as dangerous because it gives the Titans another guy who to look at as their go-to man. So Robert Lilly, look for him to be a late inclusion in the team. It will be a big plus for them. Just quickly running through this side, the Cowboys have got Matthew Bowen. I don't think any fullback had a better year than him last year. Had a super year. Ashley Graham, no world beater, but his numbers were terrific. His stats were outstanding last year. We've talked about the centre, Brent Tate and Winterstein. Kane Lynette will be the new left centre. He had a good year for the Roosters, and I think he'll be a good in for the Cowboys. Obviously, Jonathan Thurston, I consider him the best player in the world. Ray Thompson is slotted down to play halfback. I don't know whether he will. I don't think he'll be first receiver. I think if he does play, he'll be second receiver. I don't have a high opinion of him, but he is quite a good defender. Matthew Scott, probably the best prop in the world. James Taumu needs to improve his defence, but he's very big, fast, and he's aggressive in attack. Aaron Payne has overcome some injuries, and I'm looking for a much better year from him this year. He went ordinary last year, but he did carry some injuries, so I'll give him a little bit of a leeway. But to be fair, he's keeping an outstanding young kid off the starting side here, James Seguiaro. So he'll want to go good, Aaron Payne. The coach has given him his chance, but when James Seguiaro comes on, look out, he is something very special. In the back row, this surprised me a little bit. The coach has gone for Gavin Cooper and Glenn Hall. They're both journeymen. Not what I would have done, but obviously He wants that type of player in the side, knowing that the Titans have selected a very small forward pack. Dallas Johnson, probably the best defender in the competition. When he tackles you, you know that you're tackled. And on the interchange bench, we've talked about Seguiaro. Scott Bolton goes okay on the left side, and Aston Sims, look, he's a borderline first grader, he goes okay. Jason Tamalalo is the young gun that is on the bench, and I think could be anything. I've talked about him as being a young teenage Arthur Beeson. You can't give a bigger up to a player than saying that. And everything I've seen of him, and I've been watching him now for 4 years, he is just an out-and-out stunning young kid. I'm very, very excited to watch him every time he comes on. The only change to that bench is obviously Robert Louis, so we need to watch very closely. I think that the Cowboys' chances are enhanced significantly if he comes on. Just quickly here on the Titans team, we really don't know. There's mail that they're going to change their spine. At the moment, we've got Will Zillman down for fullback. He may be 5'8". Steve Michaels, ordinary defender on the wing. Jamal Idris, I'm not quite sure what side he's going to play. He normally played on the right side for the Canterbury Bulldogs, but they've got Champion to come into this side, and he also plays on the right side. So he's one of the centres from the Dominic Payro, who is just ordinary as far as I'm concerned. David Mead, fly machine winger. Jordan Rankin, he's been selected at 5'8". I have no idea why he's been selected 5'8". From what I've seen of Jordan Rankin, and I know he's a kid, he's not a first grader. I need to see him go to that next level if I'm going to be playing first grader and playing in such a key position as second receiver. Scott Prince had a lot of injuries last year. I rate him one of the best halfbacks in the world, but forget about what he did last year. I'll give him a little break here and see that he comes back injury free, and see that he can return to the very, very classy halfback that we know that he is. Now here we go to the small forward pack for the Cowboys. We're talking about Luke Bailey, only a small forward. Nate Miles, normally a back rower. Greg Bird can play 5'8". He's not very tall. Minicello, only a small forward. Harrison, a small forward. That is a very, very tiny forward pack. They're going to lock the scrum with Kane Lawton, another little guy. It's not going to scare anybody, that type of forward pack. They had a big guy, Luke Douglas, and they've named him on the bench. I don't know why they've done that. He plays long minutes and he's a big guy. You think they'd be starting with him. Another big guy, they've got Matt White. He's also on the bench. Ben Ridge is on the bench, and Matt Schramer, who is the most promising hooker in the competition, in my opinion, is named on the bench, and he's coming back from an injury, and he may drop off. It's a big blow for the Titans if he doesn't play, because I think he's one of their best players without a doubt, and they really do need him on the field. But Luke Dwyer is the other reliable guy who's been named on the bench. So look, there it is. I think the Titans are very unsettled, and they have to travel away, and simply because the Cowboys have got Jonathan Thurston in the side, they look like they will just be too good in round one at home. They just look more settled to me at this stage, and I can only be on the Cowboys in this game. Don't want to be on the Titans at all at this stage. I want to see them back with Champion in the side and see who's going to play 1 and see who's going to play 6. So look, I think we can find some winners there. If we can't, if we're not comfortable with the head-to-head prices, we'll be looking at different exotics and trying to find some value. We need to keep an eye on the weather when we're betting in the unders, overs, and if we're giving start away. It's raining all over the east coast of Australia, and we will get back to you for our daily emails. And don't forget to look at our Facebook. It's facebook.com/Champion Profits. Okay, hope you have a great Super Saturday, and look forward to talking to you. Cheers.